I was at court today only until 3 o'clock. You know how I talk about the pre-jurors entering the court discussion? Well, today Judge Palazuelos came in and she said that the jurors were requesting time off. She asked the legal teams if they approved. Everyone seemed okay with having half days on Fridays going forward when there's been a full court week. They also went over the future days off that were already scheduled, and Judge Palazuelos referred to them as dark, which I know to be a theater term. Theaters are usually dark on Mondays. After lunch, the pre-jury discussion pertained to Frank DeLeo's email and how they were trying to subpoena them from his former lawyer. I think I understood Mrs. DeLeo's law firm to be O'Melveny and Meyer, which I believe is also representing AEG. Brian Panish was the attorney examining the witness today, and the witness was Alif Sankey. She is the person who MJ fans might know as the woman who, when MJ first met her, asked her, "Who does your eyes?" They did a brief timeline of how she was familiar with MJ, because today's testimony was mainly to establish his decline in health. She was in the Smooth Criminal video in 1987, and yes, they did show a clip of it. And they also talked about it being a part of the mini-film Moonwalker. She did a live performance with Michael Jackson in 1991, the MTV 10-year anniversary. And in 1996, she performed Earth Song with him on the Brit Awards. And in 2001, she was with Michael Jackson when he performed Man in the Mirror, or a special after 9/11. And that was filmed for CBS. It aired on ABC. And Michael Jackson's part was cut out of it, but she didn't know why. It was really apparent in the morning how much she looked up to Michael Jackson, and how when he would visualize something, he would make it happen. Her word for him was magic. And today we had lessons in production. We learned about master shots, staging, choreography, dailies, casting auditions, rehearsals, production meetings, etc. And we also learned how celebrities like MJ and his family and friends get in covertly to movies at El Capitan because a bunch of them went to see the movie Up There. She shared a couple of sweet stories about Paris Jackson that I'm sure you can find on Twitter. We also learned how Michael Jackson felt when being hugged by Michael Jackson. She said that prior to 2006, he felt thin but muscle tone like marble. But then in 2006, she was with Kenny Ortega and saw Michael Jackson, and when they hugged, he just felt thin. She was also working for Kenny Ortega on the This Is It production. She mentioned that she often saw Paul Gongaware at the rehearsals. She said that Michael Jackson, in the beginning of the rehearsals, which was mid-April, he would do one-on-one rehearsals at his house with Travis Payne. When he was supposed to be showing up at the rehearsals in the evening, he wasn't showing up. He would show up at Culver City Studios in the morning, where they were shooting the video film content, but didn't show up in the evenings for rehearsals. This is when she began to be concerned about him, and that Kenny Ortega was frustrated at the situation. There was an email from Travis Payne to Brother Michael on May 22nd that started with, "We pray that all is well," and then they requested Michael to be at the rehearsal the next day. There was an email on June 4th from Alif to Kenny Ortega, which began, "I left work sad and upset," and it went on to say, "Please let me help him get back into the magical light." There was no written response from Kenny Ortega, but he met with MJ and others. He later expressed to her that they used tough love with MJ to get him to rehearsals. On June 6th, he showed up and he rehearsed all of Billie Jean and Man in the Mirror. She called it marking the routine, not a full-out performance. Michael Jackson's rehearsal appearances were erratic, and then he didn't show up at all on June 13th. Travis Payne wrote that Brother Michael called to say that the doctor ordered a sick day. On June 14th, Ortega wrote Gongaware something like, "Paul, were you aware MJ's doctor didn't allow him to come to rehearsal? Please help Brandy and Frank stay on top of his health," and he offered suggestions as to what might help. Gongaware responded something like, "Frank and I have discussed it and have requested a face-to-face. We want to remind him that it's AEG, not MJ paying his salary. We want him to understand what's expected." Ortega wrote, "MJ didn't have a Good Friday and didn't show on Saturday," and then says, "We can't let him slip." O'Leaf added that he didn't look well. He was dressing in layers. He wore gloves on either June 15th or 16th when Ortega was running the whole show for him and Travis Payne was on stage doing the Michael Jackson parts. On June 19th, Michael Jackson came in for a costume fitting. She said that night Ortega and her cried together. Panish called it weeping. She said that Kenny Ortega had been massaging Michael Jackson's feet and MJ was saying that God is speaking to him and he couldn't understand why God was speaking to him. Kenny Ortega said that MJ wasn't talking normal. That night, O'Leaf left rehearsals about 1:30 in the morning, and she pulled over, stopped the car to call Kenny Ortega. She said that she was very upset. She was screaming that he needs to be in the hospital now. He's dying. He's leaving us. Please do something. At that point, Panish tried to introduce an email that was written by Ortega at 2:04 a.m., but it wasn't allowed. So that's what happened while I was there.